Looking back at video games back from the past, I need to talk about and sample one of the game company's most valued work, even if not the best ones during the 2000s and 2010s. But what the subject in question is, we're going to look at the Scottish developers in mind, Firebrand Games. Now, Firebrand Games is a British video game developer based in Glasgow, Scotland. The company was first founded by Mark Greenshields in 2006 and has operated a second office in Merritt Island, Florida since September 2007. After closing its predecessor, after closing its predecessor, DC Studios, which was based in Montreal, Canada. The last game to be produced under the DC Studios banner was Thrillville Off the Rails and Code Lyoko. Actually, two games. Code Lyoko for the DS and Thrillville Off the Rails. Mind me to tell you that Thrillville Off the Rails is still my current favorite game, and in my personalized opinion, because it's a strategy and simulation game about being in the park. Back to the subject. I want to look at all the games under Firebrand's history on how they are not really a quality developer, but their content feels like they're very retro and classic and much more, neat. Let's start with the first game. Prior to Firebrand Games under being founded, Firebrand's first game would be a Mario Kart visual representing a Mario Kart. This one is called Cartoon Network Racing, a racing game that is developed by Technunix for the PlayStation 2 and the yours truly for the DS. Yes. And would be published by Danish video game developer the Game Factory. We're going to look at the DS equivalent version of the game. The DS version is practically a lot more different from its PS2 counterpart, actually. Now the lead version of the game feels like it's just a standard game aiming towards that casual audiences, presumably representing Mario Kart Double Dash. Seriously, Cartoon Network Racing on the PS2. That's just Mario Kart Double Dash. Yeah, you can't be fooled. It's basically Mario Kart Double Dash, but as a reskin to fit the Cartoon Network show's brand. Correct me if I'm wrong. See the difference? While Cartoon Network Racing on the PS2 looks like a cloning representing Mario Kart Double Dash, the DS version should have that too, right? No. Well, it definitely has that same appeal, but it's kind of more like just standard Mario Kart, actually. As a matter of fact, this is where the reception wasn't very warm at this point. The DS version received mixed reviews according to Metacritic, given a 55 out of 100. The PS2 version received generally unfavorable reviews. These critics can be so hot, can be so cold, actually. Lucas M. Thomas from IGN even criticized the DS version of Cartoon Network Racing for its similarities to Mario Kart, especially Mario Kart DS, as well as for having no characters from other Cartoon Network shows that were airing new episodes at the time during the 2000s. I kind of understand that, but honestly, they should have added more characters. Actually, that could have been much more better. Unfortunately, this was Cartoon Network's attempt to try and bring their cartoons to the video game picture, and just like that they did that, but unfortunately they just ripped off the wrong game. They just ripped off another game, which is none other than Mario Kart DS. Yes. But despite it's basically the Cartoon Network race, it's basically the Cartoon Network reskin, it's still very memorable. I didn't grow up with this game at all, but I did discover it though, but I never played it. I might be able to try and play it actually, and yeah, I might be able to play it. And besides, given the fact how Technics, who produced Hot Wheels Beat That, actually made Cartoon Network Racing for the PS2, I am surprised. Back to the DS port version. The DS port is very interesting and, great. The team from Firebrand used their actual in-house engine actually after being founded in 2006. This engine is called the in-house game engine titled the 3D Octane. This is why the graphics look so wow. But remind me to tell you that the Nintendo DS is just basically a lower end Nintendo 64 as a handheld. Get the difference? I'm sure not all people know, but now you actually all know now. So yeah, the gameplay is the PS2 version of Cartoon Network Racing is just similar to Nintendo 2003's Mario Kart Double Dash, but the characters and the racetracks are all from the 6 of the Cartoon Network original animated television shows. Did the DS version had it? No. No. I don't think so. Maybe I might try out the PS2 equivalent version and the DS version soon enough. Yeah, I might know. But despite Cartoon Network Racing being a failure, it's still very memorable though, given the fact that anybody who grew up with the Cartoon Network shows can actually play as their favorite characters from Johnny Bravo to Dexter's Laboratory and such. Mind me to tell you that the ads are not there. Yeah, pretty disappointing. We now move on to 2007. After Cartoon Network Racing was released, Firebrand have teamed up with Crave Entertainment and published another game that's outside of the racing game genre, actually. This game was Crayola Treasure Adventures, which is aimed towards a younger audience, actually. Crayola Treasure Adventures, or a game based off of the Crayola Company line of crayons, would be developed by Firebrand Games and be published by Crave Entertainment, and was Firebrand's first game that's outside the racing video game genre. Yeah, who knew? The gameplay is just a virtual coloring book. The game contains 100 coloring book pages and 120 of Crayola's signature shades, which match up to their real-life equivalents. Different settings let the player apply color either to the patchy style or of a real crayon, or in a more smooth texture. The title has unlockable areas and pictures. During development, a partnership between Crave Entertainment and Crayola to being Crayola-themed video games into the market was announced back on March 14, 2007. The game premiered at the 2007 E3. The title was due to be released onto on-store shelves in September of that year, but would be postponed to October. Yeah, the reception wasn't very warm. It was mixed. Eurogamer, despite the tiny amount of adventure game content. It kind of makes sense because this Crayola Treasure Adventures, it didn't make no sense. The 100 coloring book pages, honestly, it would belong to a Flipnote Studio thing, you know. But at least it's very warm and welcome, given the fact that it has unlockable areas and pictures. But the gameplay is just very, I don't know, boring to say at least. But I'm pretty sure some people will remember it as they grew up with the Crayola brand. Prior to Crayola Treasure Adventures releasing in 2007, another game would be introduced. This being called Race Driver Create and Race V8 Supercars 3 Create and Race in Australia, which will be published by Codemasters and was developed by Firebrand Games exclusively for the Nintendo DS. Part of the TOCA Race Driver series. There are only 4 modes: World Tour, Pro Tour modes, Simulation, and Track Designer. The game has ran on Octane, just like Cartoon Network Racing. The engine was upgraded and was modified to support a track editor, and Firebrand Games would go on to reuse it for the DS versions of Dirt 2 and Grid. It was met with positive reception upon release. It even has a good score on 79% and 76 out of 100 according to Game Rankings and Metacritic. In Christmas 2007, the game was in IGN's buyer guide for the DS, in which it was one of the 10 titles in no particular order, but was the only racing game. Eurogamer's top 12 DS games for Christmas included Race Driver as well as being the only racing game on the list. The game was even part of IGN's Racing Game of the Year for the DS, actually. It sounds like I think I would enjoy Race Driver, Create and Race. But too bad I didn't grow up with it. 4 games Firebrand has released in 2008 were wow. 2008 would see Firebrand get chosen for 4 games. 4 actual racing games, actually. The first one being Ferrari Challenge Trail Furrow Parade. In Technics, the producer of Hot Wheels Beat That has made the PlayStation 3 version. And actually, while Firebrand made the DS port. This will feature wireless multiplayer, and the Wii version utilizes Wii Remote, steering, and support for the Wii Wheel. You mind me to tell you that it's also on the Wii and the PlayStation 2 equivalents. The game primarily features the driving and racing of a Ferrari F430 Challenge. Driving is less arcade style and more of a simulation, so it's more of a simulation game. It has great driving experience that is somewhere between Gran Turismo and Need for Speed games or Race Driver Grid. All console versions support multiple control schemes. Remember Need for Speed Nitro's Nintendo Wii version had that multiple control schemes on the Wii? Well, guess what? We'll wake up, pal, because the Wii version can be played with the Wii Remote held sideways or the Wii Remote with nunchuck, with steering handled by either the Wii Wheel or the D-pad for the former. The GameCube controller is not in the control scheme. Sadly, I know. The cars in the game range from the road cars to GT production cars or vehicles. The main car of the game is the F430 Challenge, which does not have to be unlocked and appears at the beginning. The other cars need to be unlocked by winning trophies with different cars or progressing through the challenge mode of the game. Despite System 3's claims of 50 Ferraris on disc, no one has ever found more than 22. There was also downloadable content for the PlayStation 3 version. The DS version received a 65 out of 100 according to Metacritic. IGN, 6.2 out of 10. And Nintendo Power, 6 out of 10. The PlayStation 3 is the best version out of the 4. There was also an expanded sequel that was in the works. And we also see the introduction of Grid. Yes, Grid. Oh boy, Grid. Developed by Codemasters for the main gen consoles, the Windows PC, PS3, Xbox, as well as getting an arcade machine version of the game alongside with an OS X and Java ME. The DS version would be created by none other than the Firebrand Games Scottish developers. They updated and modified their Octane 3D engine, and in most cases at this point. Let's look at the gameplay, actually. Grid would be developed and be published by Codemasters, who were the creators of the TOCA series. It is a game in which the player runs their own race team, acting as the primary driver. As players progress, they gain sponsors and can hire a teammate to drive alongside them in certain events. The game begins with the player accepting jobs to drive for other teams to earn money, and once the player gains enough capital, they can purchase their own cars and drive independently, as well as continuing to drive for the other teams they should they choose. Grid features a gameplay mechanic known as a flashback, which allows the player to rewind gameplay by up to 10 seconds and resume from their chosen point. It's like an instant replay, actually, similar to the rewind ability in Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Basically, this is an instant replay flashback setting thing. How do I know? Because I play Bejeweled Twist. Wow. This is a limited use feature determined by the difficulty setting. There are 3 main regions in the game: United States, Europe, and Japan, with their own championship. Each of the game's 23 cars are tied to one of the 3 regions. Grid also features several types of events to complete, including the GT Championships, drifting, touring, open wheel, racing, and demolition derby, as well as variants on several of those from motorsport. All that marketing has been, all that marketing. There was also a mobile version, which would be published by Glue Mobile in April 2008. On the PS3 and Xbox, there were DLC. The Nintendo DS received a 79 out of 100. The other 3 consoles have a tie. The DS version, The reception for Grid received great, generally favorable reviews according to all platforms. Even the DS version, though. After Grid was released, Firebrand would venture into Trackmania, the Trackmania market. Trackmania DS, a racing game would be developed by the same developers who made Cartoon Network Racing. published by Focus Home Interactive in Europe and released for the Nintendo DS on November 14th, 2008. I actually sampled Firebrand's work of Trackmania DS. And to my surprise, Trackmania is pretty fun. It is an arcade-style driving simulation game. Yeah, I'm just saying. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but Trackmania is just pretty fun. It has good amount of variety of liveries for the chosen cars, and we're in some environments like the desert and such. I have to say, Trackmania looks pretty fun. Now, keep in mind that it can be boring at times, and also the gameplay features gameplay similar to the other titles in the Trackmania series. It also features a comprehensive track editor. It supports single and multiplayer modes and contains more than 100 tracks and 3 game modes: race, platform, and puzzle. Of the 7 environments available in the PC version, only 3 are featured in the DS version: Rally, Desert, and Stadium. With Trackmania DS, players can share tracks with other game owners, but there's no online connectivity. It reviewed very, very normally. After Trackmania DS, in came one of the declines of the Need for Speed franchise series. Need for Speed Undercover, which started in the summer of 2007, which was around the time that Need for Speed Pro Street finished up. Now I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Need for Speed Undercover, so I'm just gonna summarize it anyway. It is a 12th installment in the Need for Speed series following Pro Street. It would be developed by EA Black Box and was published by Electronic Arts. Black Box created Need for Speed Undercover for the PlayStation 3, PC, and Xbox 360. The PlayStation 2 and the Wii versions would be created by UK British developer Exient Entertainment, who are famous for bringing in Need for Speed Carbon on the City and Need for Speed Pro Street, its DS ports, and the more critically not point-up arcade feel Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, the reboot. Piranha Games created the PlayStation Portable version, while Firebrand Games was chosen by EA to make the DS version of Need for Speed Undercover. Yes, Need for Speed Undercover is Firebrand's first game venturing into the Need for Speed titling market. Now we already know how it works in Need for Speed Undercover, but I'm just going to tell you about the gameplay anyway. In the game, players take part in illegal street races that focuses on different styles of races, utilizing a variety of licensed real-world cars available at the time of the game's development and release that can be upgraded with new parts. There was also the return of Police Pursuit. Events featured in Most Wanted and Carbon, alongside with point-to-point and checkpoint races. In addition, Undercover includes a new event such as Outrun. The mode isn't really new. The Outrun mode had existed since Need for Speed Underground 2. Yeah, Outrun is basically a returning mode, actually, in my opinion. And there's also Highway Battle, which is similar to Need for Speed Carbon's Duel and Underground 2's Outrun event. Players attempt to stay ahead of the rival on a highway, battling against them and local traffic, winning instantly if they pull far ahead and losing for the exact opposite. I'm just gonna look at the Firebrand games equivalent of for the DS version of Undercover. Um, to be honest, Undercover on the DS is actually very fine and pretty fun. However, it can be a little annoying at times. What do I mean by it? Well, when I look at while I was playing Undercover's DS port via emulator, keep in mind that I still emulate games on my computer. Um, you see there's nothing wrong with Need for Speed Undercover's DS port, but the problem is the messy AI. Yeah, during highway battles, the AI rubber bands very hard. They rubber band very harder alongside with the cops actually during the DS version. Yeah, the AI rubber band's a lot harder than black boxes. The AI rubber band a lot harder than black boxes. Actually, a lot harder than Most Wanted's DS port. As the same, alongside with Exient Entertainment Games' PS2 port, really. Seriously. There is absolutely no reason why the AI should be like this. I mean the AI is not supposed to be rubber banding that very hard. You can't rubber band that hard. It cannot be that serious. Anyway, I think I've beaten the whole entire game right before I lost the save data. Actually, who knew? How did I lose all that? Yeah, you might already know. The DS version, during the DS edition of the game, the game is set place in the boroughs of the name of Metropolis, Northport Crescent, Southport Crescent, and Riverton. Yeah, the DS edition, actually. Yeah. Honestly, I like the DS edition of the boroughs, actually. While the Wii and the PS2 editions of the game take place within a carbon copy of the two boroughs taken from Most Wanted setting, leaving the beach borough, actually. You already know. Undercover's map on the PS2 and Wii ports is just nothing but Rockport being rearranged to resemble the shape of the Tri-City. With some reskins, actually. Honestly, it's not that bad. But what the big giveaway is that how Exient didn't polish the PS2 and Wii games. Actually, it's a really big buggy mess. Yes, yeah. KC, who made a video called Need for Speed Undercover's Hat Baked PS2 version, really said it at best. Meanwhile, over on the DS version, I know. We all know about the story. Yeah, the story is one of the most things Undercover has. But in this case, it's the DS edition is supposed to be on par with the main version of the game. Not that bar was set very high, according to Casey, like what happened with Need for Speed The Run, actually, which is going to be covered in a moment when the time we get to the 2010s. I'm sure you guys already know about the story if you guys watched KC's Hat-Baked PS2 version of Undercover video. I'll provide a link to her video in the description. And I forgot to remind me to tell you that KC is a user on YouTube who goes over all the versions of one of the games. Actually, I'll provide a link to her channel in the video description below. I'm not going through the whole story about Need for Speed Undercover because I'm pretty sure you guys already know how it goes and how it went. And as you guys already know from Casey's video, Half-Baked PS2's half-baked Need for Speed Undercover port, actually, because I'm pretty sure y'all know where it goes. To be fair, it's also on par on the DS version, though. Not entirely, as it's completely different, and with different cars. Moving on, we get to the year of 2009. Firebrand Games only made 3 games in that year. Here. We get to the introduction of Dirt 2. Oh my goodness. Co-Masters created the PlayStation 3 version and the Xbox version, and then later for PC platforms. As it is a sequel to Colin McRae's Dirt. Dirt 2 is the first game in the series since McRae's death. Mind me to tell you that that Colin McRae's death, I'm sorry if I pronounce his name wrong, he passed away. He passed away during that time. He probably died because of natural causes, actually. No wait. He died on September 15th, 2007, whilst piloting his private helicopter, which crashed 1 mile north of Lanark, Scotland, close to the McRae family home. His 5-year-old son Johnny and 2 family friends and also died in the crash. In honor what happened, Colin McRae's name would be featured for the last time in the title. Yeah. It is also the first and only game in the series to be available on the Nintendo home console, and the last game in the series to be released on handhelds. The engine for the DS port will be produced in Firebrand Games' 3D Octane engine. Additionally, the whereabouts about the Octane engine is completely unknown for Need for Speed Undercover. But I'm citing and suggesting that the 3D Octane engine would be retained being used, alongside with another game engine being called inside of it, called Mobi Video Codec, which is an engine that is being used for types of videos, including some Nintendo DS games. And Undercover has been mentioned and being used in that engine at the time. Anyway, back to Dirt 2. The gameplay features 5 racing disciplines, and all of which are playable offline against AI bots when applicable, and online. In addition, 3 special modes are included. Dirt 2 runs on an updated version of the Ego engine, which powered Co-Masters' race driver grid as well. The engine features most notably an updated physics engine, which models realistic weight transfers during turning maneuvers, allowing the player to incorporate advanced driving techniques such as the Scardavian flick. Those physics are not featured in the DS edition port. Sad, I know. While the Wii and PSP versions sucked and was really mixed and wasn't very liked, everyone liked the PC version. Xbox and PS3 versions tied at 87. The DS version, and I'm pretty sure the critics said it was kind of but I'm pretty sure I would like it. I didn't grow up on the DS version, sadly, but I might be able to sample one. I might be able to sample a gameplay soon enough. But it did feature, but racing takes place in real life cities. Rallycross races span across London, Los Angeles, and Japan. And yeah, yeah, racing around the world internationally in Dirt 2. Interesting. Sumo Digital created PSP and Wii version. Oh boy, where did everything all go wrong? Moving on, we get to Need for Speed Nitro. Need for Speed Nitro is Firebrand Games' second Need for Speed game, in following the DS port handheld version of Undercover, and it's been developed separately by them in the Florida studio. Nitro is the only game in the series to be released exclusively for Nintendo platforms, and one of the only two games in the franchise to date, the other being the mobile No Limits to not be released for PCs. It was one of the three games announced in January, including Need for Speed Shift and 2010's Need for Speed World. Now, we all sure know what Need for Speed Nitro is. An arcade-style racing game. To be fair, Need for Speed is basically an arcade racing title. Oh, in my honest opinion, okay, we already know where it all went. I didn't grow up on the Wii version, and aka the Lead version of the game, but I did grow up on the DS version. And oh boy, and this is where we get to see that the Need for Speed Nitro's DS port looks really damn faithful to the original. Except is a lot more different. Firebrand represented what Need for Speed Nitro is from its source material from the Wii version and slapped it onto the DS version, but in their own way. Unlike the Wii version, the DS version features 6 different cities, while the Wii version only has the limited of 5. You're racing around the world in Rio de Janeiro, Dubai, Cairo, and Madrid, etc. Yeah, you're still all you have to do is to challenge the city's boss. You're racing against them in their marked territory, and much like the Lead version of the game, there is the Own It mechanic, where you can make your own mark and graffiti. This is what the DS version has too, right? Well, sorta. It definitely took some hints from the Wii version, and it has that same appeal, but due to the DS limitations, the Own It mechanic feels a little more backed up a bit. You need if you're owning parts of a given track, you must go through some of the rings, which will represent the logo mark, and you'll see a splashing of your color being ported onto the city buildings and escapes and such, and you might see the color of the same color from your car being mixed into that same color. So it's pretty damn faithful to the Lead version of Need for Speed Nitro, which is the Wii version. And, there are only 6 different cities on the DS port: San Diego, Cairo, Madrid, Singapore, Dubai, and Rio. San Diego is an additional city being added to the DS version. Unlike the Wii version, Firebrand's game features a lot more tracks than the Wii version of the game, and this was because that given how Firebrand X knows about the DS's limitations, they damn know sure how to make something that's very great and try to make what Need for Speed Nitro looked like on the DS version. However, everybody didn't like the DS version at this point, as everyone said the graphics suck. Another reason why they said it sucked is because they also said that the DS version doesn't have the same type of soundtracks as they did on the Wii version. Well, it does. However, parts of the soundtracks from the Wii version of the game have been cut back a little. Yeah, it's just only featured one of the same soundtracks from the main game. However, because of limitations, that's what only a few songs like Bonkers and Call of the Road were added. Keep in mind that I remember listening to Call of the Road when I played Need for Speed Nitro's DS port though. The career mode is very similar. The career mode is a lot very great. Is a lot more very great, and there's a lot of events. You got your classic circuit mode where you have to race around the track while you're owning parts of that track. Sprint racing, which is a DS version event only. Checkpoint challenges. This is basically a time trial challenges, which is much better than the Wii equivalent version of the game. There's also a tag challenge and a smash challenge. If you when you're racing, you'll see objects on a road which are smashable. Much like the main game, cops are everywhere and they can try and stop you and take you down. Unlike EA Montreal's version, where the cops tries to take you down and tries to block you when there are no power, and when there's power ups. Firebrand's version features cops that will pop out depending on where you're driving on. You might drive on sidewalks, counts as dangerous driving. You might go on parts of the track where the cops may appear. And also, unlike the Wii version, your car will do some magnificent, legendary system tricks. By pressing the X button at yellow or green space, the game will make the car go for a two-wheeler or spin around to immobilize the cops and disable them from a roadblock. And during police speed trap rams, the cops will try and ram you at full speed, or by pressing the X button, you'll be able to jump over them, so that way you won't get crashed out, and you'll be speeding along your way. It's just an epitome of good things that I might see in there. Also on the DS port, you'll be able to maneuver a lot of good things for your car. Meaning, you'll perform some great tricks when you're maneuvering your car. For instance, at the train station racetrack in Madrid, Spain, and on the DS version, when you press the X button, your car will automatically go upside down, with the nitrous on, and you'll be racing on by. At Border Crossing in San Diego, at the sprint race, Border Crossing reverse. You're going to do a rail grind alongside a closed roller coaster, which is honestly very radical and cool. Honestly, those stunt maneuvers kind of remind me of Hot Wheels, actually. And changes are not honestly a bad thing. It's just an epitome of variety and very welcoming. I like the kind of physics here. And once you complete all the events on the DS version, you'll be able to challenge the city's boss. These aren't typical race. These typical races might be including Eliminator, which is your classic knockout game, and circuit races. The latter, the latter of which, it can, it are play, the latter of which, that meaning that you'll be able to own part of the track, from that same type of boss. Unlike the tag marks from Need for Speed Nitro's Wii port, there's the DS version features a lot of good tags actually. A ninja, flower, jet, even a drummer logo. Which reminds me, let's go up to the car selection. During career mode, after you defeat the city's boss, you can technically use the boss car, and the theme of their graffiti tag and logo that they were using from that same event that you were challenged in. There's really no reason to limit yourself. Each car is just features the same cars, all of which were all pulled from the Wii version of the game. Unlike the Wii source material or car customization, and Firebrand's version limits the car customization. Yeah. Need for Speed Nitro abandons the body graphics customization. Why? There's no reason why you should cut that out from the game. I mean, it would be nice to see the Volkswagen Westfalia 1960 get a spoiler in the DS port, but nope. I understand why, because of the DS limitations. The 3DS the DS cartridges couldn't hold enough pre-rendered stuff, so it's pretty understandable. But it's not a good enough excuse, honestly. Once you finish career mode. Once you finish and challenged and defeated all the bosses on the DS version, you'll be able to own the moon. Yeah, that's one thing about the DS version. You can own the whole entire moon. Once you own the entire world, you get to own the moon. Yeah, you get to own the moon. And also, there's also a lot of collectibles and trophies which can be unlocked and be collected if you do a specific requirement, which is a good thing or a bad thing. Honestly, it's honestly a good thing, actually. So Firebrand just polished out what Need for Speed Nitro's DS version and literally turned it into a fun arcade style racer. In fact, the game was a success for the DS. The car selection is a great variety of them. While the DS version features the same number of the cars from the Wii version, the DS version of the game features exclusive cars that are not seen on the Wii version. We get the Roundup 5 Turbo GT, the Ford Focus, and the Porsche Carrera GT, and the 2008 version of the Lancer Evolution, and the Ford F-150 Lightning, which replaced the Ford Explorer from the Wii version. In fact, the DS version was a success. The Nintendo DS version of Need for Speed Nitro became such a good success that it ended up getting an updated version of the game titled Need for Speed Nitro X, which was released exclusively as a downloadable DSiWare title for the DSi handhelds on November 15th, 2010 in North America, and in Europe on November 26th. The game would feature the same type of cars from the original release, except they cut out the other cars from the original release. They replaced them with they instead they just updated the iconic cars that are from the original release, because it was made in response to the cartoony art style. Nitro X features 6 new cars, which are cop cars. Yeah, those are cop cars. 16 tracks were updated from the original release, and it was a new game mode called Super Pursuit, actually Hot Pursuit mode, that puts a player in the role of a police cop officer, and you could take down the racers yourself. Unlike the Wii games, the source material, where the cop cars limits only to Hummers, Lancer Evolution IX, and the Ford Shelby E2010, the DS version features a wide variety of police cars, from the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S, alongside with the Subaru Impreza 2006 and such. Yeah, the variety of cop cars on the DS version. Need for Speed Nitro received mixed reviews from critics, though. Metacritic gave the DS version a 70 out of 100. The Wii version, 69. Which is very surprising. Now, that's insane. The game on the DS really was a success, receiving a 70 out of 100. The Wii version didn't have that success. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, it's too bad, though. Oh, that the game failed, though. Firebrand was been chosen by Sega to create Planet 51. Planet 51, the video game. A video game based on the film was announced back in November 2009. An action driving game was published by Sega and was released on Nintendo DS, PlayStation 3, and Wii and Xbox 360 on November 17th of that year. Pyro Studios developed the console version, while Firebrand Games created and developed the DS version of the game. Z Group, a longtime customer of Trinity's, worked on the online version of the game with the Vision engine. Planet 51 might have used the 3D Octane engine from Firebrand for the DS version, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Moving on, we get to 2010. Oh boy, 2010. 2010 seems like a great, actually a year where Firebrand did something new. Firebrand kicked off 2010 with their introduction of SpongeBob's Bolton Bash for the Nintendo DS. The Wii version was created by Impulse Games. Unlike the source material from the Wii, the DS version is an isometric racer. Yeah, you get the picture? Yeah, because despite being a new game in 2010, it's an isometric racer, just like Velocity X's GBA port and Hot Wheels All Out. Yeah, mind me to tell you that Hot Wheels Velocity X was released on the GBA, and it was an isometric racer, next to Hot Wheels All Out, which is a half isometric racer, not unlike Velocity X. Also, the UI from Firebrand's DS version of Bolton Bash is just similar, and it's just a mainstay, actually. It's not really focusing on racing, but it's basically in vehicular combat, actually. I don't know. It features SpongeBob SquarePants characters, and it is the first SpongeBob racing game since Nicktoons Winners' Cup Racing. It is also the first SpongeBob game released by Firebrand Games for the DS. Hey, this is Firebrand's first time venturing into Nickelodeon's SpongeBob IP market. I never played the SpongeBob Bolt and Bash game though. Yeah, I didn't grow up on it though. Oh, I'm just going to. So let's just move on. Um, Firebrand released another game for the DS called Trackmania Turbo, a racing game developed by Firebrand Games and would be a successor to Trackmania DS. It was released on September 14th, 2010, and in Europe by Focus Home Interactive, and in the US the following year on April 19th, 2011. It was released at the same time as Trackmania Built to Race, known as Trackmania in Europe. Trackmania Turbo features gameplay similar to the other games in the Trackmania series, and it includes a comprehensive track editor. And there are 150 available tracks across 4 total environments, including stadium, island, coast, and snow. Desert has been cut. 3 game modes are also included: race, puzzle, and platform. Players are available to play together locally up to 4 players and can play on official or custom racetracks through the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. The reception was very cool actually. 2010 would see Firebrand venturing into another console. Yeah, after 2010, Firebrand had ventured into the Nintendo Wii market with the introduction of Trackmania Built to Race, or Trackmania Wii, actually. Trackmania Wii is Firebrand Games' first Wii game, actually. The game, Firebrand updated their 3D Octane engine, and the Wii can actually handle it very well. It's very surprising to see how the Wii can have a Firebrand Games produced game. I didn't play that game because I don't have a Wii. I sampled the DS version of Trackmania. I seen Trackmania Wii on some other people's videos, but I might be able to play it soon and later. The game remained relatively the same, actually. It remained relatively the same, actually, like the DS version though. So I'm sure there's no need to talk about the Trackmania Wii though. It's just basically the DS version, however with good visual graphics. Moving on, we get to Hot Wheels Track Attack. I reviewed Hot Wheels Track Attack from the past. Hot Wheels Track Attack is an arcade-style racing game like Need for Speed Nitro. We are revolving around racing a Hot Wheels toy car in a variety of events in order to unlock new cars, tracks, and events. Firebrand Games, I believe they created the DS version of the game using the 3D Octane engine, while the Wii version has been developed next after. So it's relatively the same, except let's look at the differences between the Wii version and the DS version. The DS version looks like it's basically a lower end N64 game and a PS1 game, actually. But when we look at the Wii version, it's basically wow. The game is actually gorgeous. The Wii, while the DS and the Wii version are powered by Octane, the Wii version actually wins by a hair, actually. The 3D Octane engine on the Wii feels very, high quality and textured, and maintain a respectable 60 frames per second. And honestly, it looks pretty cool. The Wii version has a variety of cars. There are actually exclusive cars to the Wii version. The DS version, it was missing so many cars. practically due to the limitations of the DS or the licensing issues from Mattel. The reception for Hot Wheels Track Attack, I mentioned in my review about Hot Wheels Track Attack that it was mixed. Gaming XP gave it a positive score, though. Moving on, we get to the year of 2011. NASCAR Unleashed was announced, and NASCAR Unleashed would be developed by Firebrand Games. Activision chose Firebrand and to create the Nintendo 3DS, PS3, Wii, and Xbox 360 equivalents of NASCAR Unleashed, an arcade-style racing game allowing players to play as 15 different drivers in the NASCAR Sprint Cup racing series and race around 6 locations, including Chicagoland Speedway, Daytona Speedway, Homestead, Miami, Martinsville, and Talladega Speedway. As with the previous 2 Wii NASCAR games, kart racing, and the game 2011, the Wii version of Unleashed leverages the Wii remote's versatility and motion controls to offer multiple control schemes, but unlike them, it doesn't support the GameCube controller. Boo! Wow. It did not review well, and was mixed. The 3DS, really, mostly. Actually. Last night I seen NASCAR Unleashed's trailer, and I looked at someone's gameplay for NASCAR Unleashed. But all in mind, NASCAR Unleashed looks pretty fun. Firebrand updated their 3D Octane engine, and they would venture into the PlayStation 3, Xbox, and the Xbox 360 market with that game. Yeah, that, you get that. You get the idea. NASCAR Unleashed looked pretty fun. I might be able to play it one day, but I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me and tell me, why don't you use the 3DS emulator, Sertra, or Lion 3DS? Well, I tested one of the games with that emulator, but honestly, it looked pretty terrible. Too slow. Well, that's because I'm using the software. Well, why can't I use Vulkan or OpenGL? I'm gonna tell y'all this. My PC cannot handle Vulkan or DirectX 11. Well, I'm pretty sure you're asking me, well, why can't you just update the drivers? Why can't you update your graphics card then? Graphics card upgrade, go wrong. Computer go bye-bye. Sorry. So that's honestly out of the question. I'm gonna have to find. So I need to wait until an actual stable 3DS emulator that can handle the software can actually handle it. So that's out of the question. After NASCAR Unleashed, Firebrand Games would get chosen by Disney Interactive Studios, who closed Black Rock Studios / Climax. Based off of the famous movie, Disney Pixar's Cars 2, Firebrand was chosen to create the DS and the 3DS versions of Disney Pixar's Cars 2. Avalanche Software created the game for the main platforms, while the 3DS and the Nintendo DS versions were created by Firebrand Games. In Cars 2, it's played in third person, a third person perspective. I believe it's focused more on racing, actually. Yeah, I believe it's focused more on the racing parts. Yeah, yeah. Cars 2 is a great multiplayer game that rivals Mario Kart. And I have to agree. IGN gave the game an 8 out of 100. An 8 out of 10. I'm sorry, 8 out of 10. Stating that Cars 2 is a great multiplayer game to rival Mario Kart. The 3DS and the DS versions, unfortunately, did not review well. Actually. Giving it a 58 out of 100, according to Metacritic. Say what you want about the graphics, but I just want a race, okay? Say what you want and rant all you want about the graphics and how the versions looked sucked and boring, but the game is very fun. Moving on, we get to Need for Speed The Run. This would be EA Black Box's final project before being shut down in 2013. While Black Box created the lead version, and yeah, this is an alternate version of of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, as did with Hot Pursuit the year before for the Wii. An alternate version of the run would have to be developed. Actually, that's very obvious. What's more obvious that who should make it. Piling the Wii version project onto EA Black Box was out of the question. Exient Entertainment had already parted ways with EA in favor of partnering with Sony. Criterion, who was acquired by Electronic Arts, was creating DLC for Hot Pursuit 2010 and prototyping Need for Speed Most Wanted Reboot 2012, as well as prototyping for Shift 2 Unleashed just before the run. Even though Criterion was not on best terms with EA at the time. So Firebrand was chosen by Electronic Arts to create the Wii and 3DS versions of Need for Speed The Run. Exient Entertainment, according to KC, said that Exient Entertainment's contributions to the Need for Speed brand were not good, but they were mostly inoffensive, according to her. Need for Speed Undercover is just a good solid game on the PS2, even though it's just Most Wanted again. But they were mostly inoffensive. Well, yeah. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010's Wii version is a slice of gas station pizza. It's not bad, but for her, it's utterly forgettable. While these games are cheap comfort food, then Need for Speed The Run's Wii port is a military ration. Technically, well said, Casey. Well said. I don't know about you, but honestly, it's just the 3DS onto the Wii. Get it? No, you don't. Well, I'm just going to tell you one thing. When I watched Casey's video about Need for Speed The One's terrible Wii version, it's basically the 3DS port. Yeah, the 3DS version was created first. The Wii version is just a port from the 3DS. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Go back and forth between the Wii version and the DS version, and it make perfect sense. When we look at the 3DS version, you see some differences. Unlike the Wii version, the cutscenes are very much, a little animated with the dragons and such and more. However, not all people didn't like it. Also, the 3DS version have touchscreen minigames. Yeah, they got some touchscreen minigames on the 3DS. And also because of limitations, just like the DS version, the 3DS hardware couldn't handle things. The 3DS hardware cannot handle a higher traffic density. Also, on the Wii version, the Wii version of the run has cutscenes, which are in comic books. The cutscenes were comic books because the 3DS cartridges couldn't hold enough pre-rendered video. Hey, And also, the cutscenes have a jarring cut that skips action. This is because they are touchscreen minigames on a 3DS. So previous Need for Speed games had separate dev teams to focus on to make the Wii and handheld adaptations. But for Need for Speed The Run, Firebrand found themselves in charge of both. So it's safe to say that the Wii version is just a drag and drop from the 3DS. So the Wii version is just a 3DS version ported over to the Wii. I'm sorry, Casey. I'm sorry if you don't like the Wii version. It's just a drag and drop from the 3DS. Additionally, 2011. Unfortunately, 2011 was their final year. Actually, what I'm saying is that 2011 was Firebrand's final year with Electronic Arts, with Need for Speed The Run being the last game being published by them. After EA and Firebrand both parted ways, Firebrand was chosen again by Activision to create the Fast and Furious Showdown video game, which will be released by Microsoft Windows, Nintendo 3DS, PlayStation 3, Wii U, and Xbox 360. Wow. Yeah, the year is 2013. 1 year after a full year of not publishing and making anything in 2012. Firebrand would be chosen by certain companies, i.e. Activision, to create other video games. Minus that, because there are actually 2 games that are produced and been published by Firebrand themselves. More on that in a moment. So Fast and Furious Showdown will be produced by Firebrand Games using the in-house Octane engine, which was updated probably again. After Fast and Furious Showdown, Mr. and Mrs. will be released for the iOS after Firebrand was chosen by Sony Computer Entertainment. It's an iOS exclusive game. Firebrand Games created their first ever in-house IP series called Solar Flux, released for Linux, Mac OS, Microsoft Windows. There's also a mobile version of the game called Solar Flux Pocket, Android and iOS. The final game from 2013 would be Hot Wheels World's Best Driver. Yeah, Hot Wheels World's Best Driver. This was proving to be the last Hot Wheels game on console games before the dark age of the Hot Wheels video game genre had begun. Released in 2013 for Microsoft Windows, Nintendo 3DS, PlayStation 3, Wii U, and Xbox 360 by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, Hot Wheels World's Best Driver was proven to be the #1 worst Hot Wheels game, next to the second worst Hot Wheels game, Hot Wheels All Out. Hot Wheels World's Best Driver would be produced under the in-house 3D Octane engine, which would be modified and updated again. An arcade-style video game, players can play as either green team, red team, and yellow team. Green team, super fast. Red team, outrageous. Blue team, high-tech. And yellow team, powerful. Additionally, this will be Firebrand's final Hot Wheels game after they ventured into the Hot Wheels license. Actually, before they were not been chosen by Sony Computer or Activision afterwards. Not even EA actually. So that's a bummer. The plot for Hot Wheels World's Best Driver is by the numbers. Honestly, this is just Trackmania. been reskinned and slapped onto the Hot Wheels brand. Think you not notice that? No, you don't? Well, honestly, Hot Wheels World's Best Driver, this is Trackmania all over again. The resemblance is probably even or uneven. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is basically the Trackmania physic, actually, with an arcade physic in there. To be honest, Firebrand double dipped. They probably took the inspiration from Trackmania to fit into the Hot Wheels brand. And actually, the gameplay is very the gameplay cannot be mistakenly, actually. But honestly, I actually found the only game that is basically based off of the Trackmania physics, actually. So honestly, I just found my best favorite driving Hot Wheels simulation game, which is an arcade racer or style video game. The vehicles that they feature here is by the numbers. We see some retro Hot Wheels cars being Twin Mill and Bone Shaker being into the game. We see some newer models like Quicksand. Yeah, Quicksand is added alongside with Loop Coupe. We also seen some motorcycles into the game. Yeah, Hot Wheels World's Best Driver introduced us to ATVs and bikes. Bikes is a cool addition. Cool addition. Feel a little wonky though. Feel a little so wonky and so really, when you're playing on the red team side, when you land on the ground, the racer falls off his bike, like the street Nas and such. Even on the green team, when you're doing stunt tricks, the racer falls off the Canyon Carver, which is quite odd. Which is kind of understandable though, if you don't land very correctly. Yeah, the car selection is pretty much by the numbers, with some familiar faces and some new faces. The introductions with Torque Twister, Drift Cane, both of which were from Hot Wheels Track Attack, multiplayer only, alongside with some other new faces, with the introductions of Baja Jump Truck, aka Baja Truck. We also seen a monster truck in the game called the Hot Wheels Firestorm truck. I see what else? I see an Accelerator's car. I see an Accelerator's car being added. Guess. Yes. Give up? It's RD04. RD04. It's on the yellow team, and honestly, I cannot believe I seen an Accelerator's car being on Hot Wheels World's Best Driver. I cannot believe it. There's also some bikes also being Track Shredder alongside HW450F. If I got the name wrong. Yeah. One of the bikes that are featured in Unleashed 2, honestly, concurrently. Any kind of car that was featured in World's Best Driver have been slapped onto Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. And Hot Wheels Unleashed, being Rip Rod, Drift Cane, Baja Jump Truck, aka Baja Truck, Street Nas. Yeah, any type of car and bike you can name are on. To be fair, I see some Accelerator cars like Chicane being added. We already know about RD04, but what about the other cars that are also added? I see Loop Coupe being added into the game. Actually, yeah, Loop Coupe is based off of one of the Mitsubishi cars. We see Bad to the Blade. We've seen a new generation of the Jet Threat. Jet Threat 4. Or really. I'm planning on buying that for my Hot Wheels collection. I see that car, which is one of the Hot Wheels Beat That's Car roster. Drag Shredder. I mean Tread Shredder. Yeah, Tread Shredder. And we also see Rip Shredder. Wait. Oh yeah, Rip Shredder. That's featured in. That's also featured up there. Formula Street. I see. Oh, Formula Street. I didn't know it was being under a new name actually. I see Snow Ride and Sand Stinger. Ha ha ha! Hey, can you not believe this? Sand Stinger was featured in there as well. Oh, I see Snow Ride. Honestly, Snow Ride is a cool addition into the game though. Given the fact that some of the world's best driver events are all about tricks chaining together into snow. I wish Snow Ride could have appeared on Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 though. Given the fact that we see ice being added into the game though. But honestly, we also a new environment should also be needed though. Bed parting guys, but Snow Ride would be useful when we if it's in a new environment, if it's part of a DLC in an environment actually. But sadly, with the recently announced, with the sad announcement coming from the Hot Wheels Unleashed community, it was revealed that Milestone has officially lost the Hot Wheels license. They lost the rights of the Hot Wheels license. Meaning that we are literally back to where we started. So just like after what happened to Hot Wheels World's Best Driver, afterwards World's Best Driver was released, the Hot Wheels video game genre is once again dead. And yeah, it gotten worse. On the other hand, off topic. Yeah, the Hot Wheels video game genre is worse. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged released at the wrong time. As of 2024, Milestone no longer has a Hot Wheels license anymore. Yeah, it's confirmed. Milestone no longer has the Hot Wheels license. Yeah, I know you're pissed. Also, just like that, we are back to the full circle. I'm just gonna have to say this. History has officially repeated itself. It sounds like that Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged is the last good. It sounds like just like what happened with one of the previous Hot Wheels games, which are considered to be good, and if not the best runs, and Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 is considered to be the final good Hot Wheels game to be made. There will never be another good Hot Wheels game. Seriously? It was already bad enough that Hot Wheels World's Best Driver ended the Hot Wheels video game genre on consoles on a horrible negative note. Do we really need to hear the one last good thing? Do we really need to hear another bad news thing that I heard anyway? Oh my god, I swear. This is so sad. Sad, I know. Oh. Now, back to the sampling of Firebrand games' history. Hot Wheels World's Best Driver, in my opinion, is my favorite actually. Given the fact that it's following the same trajectory as Trackmania into the fit with the Hot Wheels brand. Well done, Firebrand games. Well done. But no, people aren't really impressed otherwise. They aren't everything. it's just too bad that everyone doesn't like Hot Wheels World's Best Driver because the cars and the events here are very top notch. How to be a skilled driver, actually. Seriously, it's a skilled driver game. An arcade skilled driver game. But what's next? What's next? I don't know what's gonna happen next. What happened to Firebrand games afterwards? Sadly, 2013 was their final year with the Hot Wheels brand. Sadly, Hot Wheels World's Best Driver would be the final Hot Wheels game by them. After the two only Hot Wheels video games that Firebrand had produced. Hot Wheels Track Attack and World's Best Driver, unfortunately. In 2015, Firebrand was responsible for creating the 3DS version of WRC FIA World Rally Championship, which been produced by Italian developer Milestone SRL, and was been published by Black Bean Games. Milestone created the lead version of the game first, while the 3DS version was created by Firebrand Games. Big Band Interactive published the 3DS port. The reception for the 3DS version has completely been unknown. Shortly, 2 years later, in 2017, Firebrand began working with 704 Games to create NASCAR Heat Mobile for the Android and iOS. We don't know what happened next. 3 years later, Firebrand was responsible for and published Conjure Andy's Repeatable Dungeon, which was created for iOS and Microsoft Windows. 2020 would see Firebrand Games venture into the Nintendo Switch market. Honestly, Firebrand Games after 2020 hasn't released anything at all since haven't been releasing anything since 2020. The studio has been quiet, very, very quiet, and finding out that whatever happened to Firebrand is a mystery. Yeah, Firebrand Games right now remains a really big mystery. What happened to Firebrand actually, and where did they go? It seems that they are not. It seems that they are not in a mood to make more. Actually, I'm pretty sure they're not in a mood to make more games. Actually, whatever it is remains a mystery. Whatever happened to Firebrand Games remains really a mystery. Are they not producing any more games? Are they moving on to any other stuff? I don't know. Well, I don't know. According to a Wikipedia page, in May 2011, the company stated its desire to develop a game in the F-Zero franchise. However, they didn't venture into the F-Zero franchise actually, leaving the franchise IP alone. I don't know. They did state it and announce its first original intellectual property, the puzzle game Solar Flux, in July 2013, which I already know. Man, I don't know. Whatever happened to Firebrand Games today? Well, I don't know. I'm not in this. Right now, I don't know anything. What am I doing right now? Well, right now, I'm sampling Firebrand Games' work, i.e., playing Need for Speed Nitro X, and I just sampled Trackmania DS. Yeah, I just sampled Trackmania. Who knew? I also sampled Trackmania Turbo. Did I sample Trackmania Wii? No, it's just a DS port. It's just a DS port with good visual graphics, actually. Yeah, honestly, at this point. And I do know that Firebrand used the 3D Octane engine for almost all their games, actually. starting with Cartoon Network Racing, though, I love how the 3D Octane engine is. I love how the games are in the 3D Octane engine. I love those games. I actually love them. Say anything. Say all negative things you want. But the 3D Octane engine, it's honestly kind of carries the same the trajectory as the Criterion Games' renderware platform, except not like it, but it does sort of like renderware though. I take that over anything. To be honest, I didn't know Firebrand Games was responsible for creating Hot Wheels World's Best Driver or Need for Speed Nitro, nor Hot Wheels Track Attack. But as soon as I found out, thanks to Casey, who made a video about Need for Speed The Run's report, it's clear it was the case, and it's true that they were responsible for creating those games. Yep. Thank you guys all for watching. I know this video is an hour and 30 minutes long, but I needed something to get out of my, my stress and such after coming home from work. See you guys all next time. Squeak out.